What the heck is good, Matcha Nation, Base Nation? I hope you're having a pleasant Thursday, if it is indeed Thursday where you are. This is Michael. I am here on the Matcha account. You are plugged in for what should be a tantalizing half hour, 45 minutes of DeFi talk. I'm hoping that you're able to discern some alpha in any which way you're looking for it, but definitely in the ways that we're happy to talk about today. We're going to be talking about some of the new features we just launched on Matcha. And also, we're going to hear from the DeFi lead at Base to talk about the different opportunities on Base that you might not know about. So, without further ado, let me introduce our guest today. That is Armand from Base. What's good, Armand?
What's up? Let's go. You got the memo with the music.
Come
I'm
on, dog.
feeling
Oh,
it.
oh, you're
I'm
you're wondering,
feeling it.
bro, you're wondering if you're in the audience wondering what the heck was that song, Michael? Guys, I told you I'm bringing the big hitters today. I got bass on the call, so I had to play the ace of bass. I saw the sign. All right, so yes, thank you for the shout out on the music, Armand. Got to have music on the spaces. I'm happy you're here, Armand. How long you been with bass?
I've been with Base since the very beginning. I actually was able to join the
Nice.
sort of second Coinbase on-chain effort that very, very nicely led into the third being Base. So
Heck yeah.
obviously, Jesse is our ace of Base, internally and externally. I might be maybe the Joker, the Jack, the Prince
We'll
of
take
Base. I'm
that.
not sure. Depends on the day. But yeah,
Great.
very, very happy to have been with Base from the very beginning. It's insane that it's been about 13 months, and yeah, and I've
Sheesh.
aged about 10 years, but that's okay.
No, yeah, man. I was about to say 13 months in crypto terms is decades in real life. So hey, we're both vets in the game in that sense. If you're in this spaces and you've been around since the day that base was announced, congratulations. You plugged in at the right time. So thanks, Armand. Happy to have you here. We're learning a little bit more about Armand and all of the great things happening in the DeFi space. But of course, folks, if you're plugged in from Matcha, I got my co-CEO. Excuse me, I need to say that differently because I'm not the other co-CEO. I have our co-CEO from Zero X and Matcha, Will. How you doing today, Will? How's Thursday treating you?
Hey, good Thursday. Great week.
Hey,
Just launching cross-chain swaps, so everything is exciting and happy to be here.
sweet.
Good to be with you, Armand. Thank you for joining.
Likewise, Will. Likewise. It's awesome.
Super. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have some fun today, folks. Stick around with me, all right? Because at the end of this spaces, I'm gonna give four listeners who are present at the time of the giveaway at the end of the spaces. I'm gonna give $50 in USDC on chain, baby, to four different people on this call. Hey, it's up to you if you want to use that USDC to cross chain swap onto seven supported chains that Matcha supports for cross chain swaps. We're going to dive into that right now. But 50 USDC to four different listeners. Stick with me to the end. All right, let's get started, folks. We are trying to combine two different worlds here. This is one of the most exciting and brand new L2s in the space, base with a number of different social and DeFi opportunities to explore. We're going to talk about how to get there easily because before, if you were trying to explore like friend.tech, maybe you were getting used to what the bridging experience was like to get on base. But I'm thinking we're adding something new to the mix with cross chain swaps. I'm going to give it to Will to talk about generally what is Matcha for maybe some base folks who are just joining and learning about Matcha for the first time. And then let's get right into that release you just mentioned, Will, cross chain swaps and why that's exciting for people like base users.
Yeah, absolutely. So to use a term that a lot of folks use, put simply, Matcha is a DEX aggregator or a decentralized exchange aggregator. But in terms of the product and how it uh, users interact with it, Matcha is much more like kind of a search engine for tokens and liquidity. So you can go and you can search for any ERC20 token that exists on different EVM networks that we support, and you'll be able to find it in Matcha Search. So it doesn't matter if it's like a big blue chip token or even an experimental token within a niche community. It'll show up in the Matcha Search, and yeah, one of the things that's really exciting, about having a DEX aggregator is that it can help track down all the liquidity that exists for a particular network. And the base network, their mainnet launch was not too long ago, but there are already 7 different decentralized exchange liquidity sources on the base network that are plugged into Matcha and that you tap into whenever you want to swap. And so, Matcha will plug into all the different liquidity sources that exist. It'll allow you to find any of the ERC20 tokens that exist. And yeah, we just this week launched cross-chain swaps, which is really super exciting. Yeah, our mission, our kind of North Star for Matcha is to make it as frictionless as possible to find and trade tokens wherever they are. And the ecosystem is at this point it's clear with base the base network emerging and a healthy kind of vibrant ecosystem with like really competent backing and layer 2 networks are here and they're going to be where the next waves of adoption occur. And so, yeah, we're really excited to have the cross-chain swap capability in Matcha that allows you to kind of access tokens no matter where they're located, whichever network they're located on, and interact with new opportunities that emerge on different networks like Base. So yeah, that's a little bit more context on Matcha and the new cross-chain swap functionality.
Dang. Thank you, Will. So one thing I'm hearing is we're trying to make it easy for you to interact with DeFi, interact with tokens, which is core to the thesis of 0x and Matcha, a tokenized world a world where all value is tokenized and can move freely. If you listen, Will just said something I want to double tap because it's real. You should try it right now. Go to matcha.xyz on your browser. You can type in any token. If you've been around for a minute, you remember going to coin wherever and finding the contract address, pasting it in the little field and hoping that the token pops up. Within 15 minutes of a token popping up on Base on wherever, it's going to show up on the Matcha and you can trade it. I'm just going to take this a step further. The friend tech shares? I just typed in Kobe on one of the highest friend tech shares on Base right now on the Matcha search engine, and it's right there on Base. And now I'm potentially going to buy one. So, anyways, check out the search on Matcha. I bet it's going to surprise you. Armand, one thing I'm hearing from Will is we're trying to make it easier for folks to get into DeFi and find tokens that they like. For you and your experience with Base since day one, I want to hear what you're thinking about and how Base is thinking about onboarding new people. Of course, as a companion, on-chain product to Coinbase, it seems like it's a nice way to open up the opportunities for folks that are on Coinbase to potentially come on chain. So if you want to speak to that a little bit in the ways that Base is helping onboard new folks through UX, through all these different things, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to. So I'd say first off, like you hit the nail on the head. The biggest opportunity, the easiest like opportunity for us is to start that flywheel, make sure that Coinbase users who already know and trust Coinbase have easy on-ramps on getting on chain for the first time and doing something that's meaningful. A lot of L2s will say like, oh, well, how do you sort of judge yourself? How do you rank yourself within the L2 ecosystem, within the entire on-chain ecosystem? And you hear the same sort of things like TVL, transaction volume. We know that some of these stats are maybe not as accurate as we want them to be because of like gamification behaviors of users, et cetera. So really one thing that we're constantly thinking about is how do we bring a user on chain and have a meaningful experience within their first minute of being there? Because if you could have a meaningful experience from the start, that means that you could actually either find some utility, find some entertainment, find some fun from being on chain, and then you'll make it a recurring behavior. So we're thinking about things a little bit differently, and we're also catering to different groups. So for our general sort of like end retail users, how do we give them the most fun and easy experience on chain? Of course, right now we're doing everything we can to ensure that crypto natives come onto Base. They have the exact sort of experience that they would expect. Perhaps on other chains, they hopefully could have all the use cases checked off things that they would like to do, whether it's like, something that they would do on Ethereum mainnet or elsewhere, they could now sort of do it on Base, but also knowing that if you're net new on chain, if you don't even know what DeFi is yet, and you want to do something as simple as a token swap, having folks like yourself being able to aggregate all that liquidity, give them the best possible price, the best possible routing, and making it super simple is exactly what we're aiming for. So knowing that if we want to bring the next billion people on chain, we're going to have to do things probably a little bit differently than we've been doing things thus far, in order to reach the long tail and the masses.
Wonderful. It's nice to hear so much parity between the missions and also in seeing how it's playing out in the products and the things that we're offering to the space. Folks that are in this space right now that are using our apps and our tools. So thank you for that, Armand. Will, on the same topic, I'm curious on, you know, if we could talk about the cross-chain swaps like UX and like how we thought about making it easy for, let's just put ourselves in the shoes of a new Coinbase user who is wanting to explore on-chain opportunities for the first time with Base. Let's say they have a little bit of coin in their MetaMask from trying on-chain stuff on the mainnet, and they want to go try stuff on Base. What does that look like? Why would they do that, and how easy is it?
Yeah. So one of the things that was really important to us was that uh, we really bring the simplicity that people have come to expect with decentralized exchange swaps. We bring that same simplicity to cross-chain swaps. So for users, we want you to be able to, select whatever assets that you have in your wallet on whichever networks that you happen to be using, and to very easily get to a different token that on a different network, and to unlock use cases to users in just a couple of clicks on entirely new ecosystems. And so this was something that we've been thinking about this for such a long time. We've been closely following bridging solutions for like, I don't know, like, well, not just bridging solutions, but scaling solutions. Like layer two networks and optimistic rollups and all the different approaches. We and it's finally time where the demand for block space is there. The kind of the user interest has reached a scale where you know uh, Ethereum is really kind of pricing out many users and use cases, which is a great problem to have. And now we're starting to see real um, organic layer two network adoption. And so yeah, we want to help accelerate that. We want to help facilitate that. And so creating a really seamless user experience that allows people to kind of go after opportunities to experiment with things on different networks as easily as possible. That's like a huge win in our view.
Yeah, making it easier is great. Armand, on that topic, what was the bridging experience like before? And I'm thinking about the people who are trying to use and get on base for the first time. And do you see products like what we just released and other products that might be relevant in the future helping people get onto base and helping more on-chain adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we first launched, we actually launched in a sort of what we were calling a developer access only. So we had a simple sort of portal proxy, like a bridging address. Users were sending funds to this address, and that ETH that was sent over would then just be ported over to the base instance of their wallet. I really don't know if any other sort of chain would have been able to get away with this in a sense. There's a lot of that trust that's embedded into the Coinbase brand name that probably gave folks the confidence to just send funds to a random, contract address essentially. But so I wouldn't necessarily say that that was meant for users. That was really just meant for developers to deploy their dApps and create some of the primitives, including giving us time to finish working and auditing our own native bridge. But to absolutely answer your second question, yes, of course, tools like this that make it easier for users to onboard, that have slick UXs, that sort of abstract away or are able to dodge the more complex topics that you really don't want to cover in a person's first onboarding session, like MEV and price slippage. Things that you typically take a little bit longer to learn about when you're first coming on chain. Any product that could abstract away that hassle is going to be a product that we really want to lean into and see more of on Base. Now, where I'm focused on and where bridging has sort of evolved at this stage is, and I think of bridging in multiple ways. Of course, we're talking about actual bridges that are doing message passing or passing tokens from one chain to another. But just in all fairness, I'm also referring to direct transfers. And I think that the ability for every Coinbase user, except for those of us in New York, unfortunately, but that's a New York issue, to directly send assets over to Base and to receive assets from Base is already having, uh, an incredible amount of value for folks that want to move assets either on chain or off chain. It's saving them a lot of money because withdrawing assets from Base is going to be a lot cheaper than withdrawing assets from Ethereum in terms of gas fees. And then what I get really excited about are all of the other centralized exchanges like Binance, OKX, and Bybit that are also now supporting deposits and withdrawals of Base Ethereum. So that means that even if you're not a Coinbase user, you could benefit from seamless transfers over to Base as a network and not have to actually go through Ethereum mainnet, have to cover all those fees that may be inaccessible or for a lot of folks in the world. We take for granted that even if we could afford an Ethereum mainnet gas fee of $20, $30 for a large transfer, it doesn't mean that people should have to pay that or that the entire world will ever be able to afford such intense gas prices. So when we're thinking about bridging and transferring and how it's evolved, we've been very lucky to be supported by some of the top names within bridging and message passing, like Axelar and Wormhole and Layer Zero and all these folks that are supporting us currently. But then also thinking about all the other centralized exchanges and of course the on-ramps like MoonPay and OnRamper that are now supporting native base Ethereum to make it that much easier for users to get on chain.
Yes, 100 times yes, folks. And one thing I'm hearing is we're really optimizing for making this a simple experience across the board for new users. But also what I'm hearing in there is like also for users who have been here for a while, who are veterans to on chain. I think they deserve some better UX as well, and that's what I'm seeing in development of the space, especially around Base. It's only been 13 months, but now look at what happens with cross chain swaps. Like it's now easier than ever to get on Base, um, even from something like Armand said from Bybit. We're seeing people withdraw from Bybit and swapping onto Base and taking advantage of those opportunities. Armand, what are some DeFi opportunities? Let's tantalize some of our Matcha users on the call with some reasons that they should be swapping onto Base. So just to recap this, folks, you can swap tokens on the new cross-chain swaps on Matcha, and swap it into any supported token on 7 supported chains. And right now, that's mostly like WETH and like stables, but also a number of other coins on different chains. But Armand, what are some DeFi opportunities for people to encourage people to swap over some ETH from mainnet or any other chain and turn that into some assets on Base?
Yeah, okay. This is my favorite topic. So I hope we have a solid 3 hours to
I
go. I'm
got
just
you, bro.
kidding.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Where could I start, right? First of all, not financial advice. That's where I should probably start. But I get very excited about Base's DeFi ecosystem and how it's growing so quickly. So right now, what we're seeing coming on chain and onto Base in particular is a number of perp dexes. We have some derivatives protocols. We have a forex trading that's going to be happening on chain. Synthetics is going to be coming on board quite shortly, as well as a new project from Kane called Infinex. So we have a lot of really exciting protocols that are in the midst of launching, but I'd be remiss not to mention all the teams that are already here. So we really started focusing on a lot of those blue chips that are known and loved cross chain. Very much so, starting with yourselves, like that 0x, and then going to Uniswap and Compound, Aave. The team over at Moonwell is doing some really cool things on Base right now. I definitely recommend. I see they're running a program for their USDC pools. So perhaps even the winner today may consider checking out the USDC pools on Moonwell right now. And then I'd also recommend looking at the aggregators. We've been very lucky to have a number of DEXs that have launched and that are probably already integrated in your sort of cross-chain swaps and what you're doing with the DEX aggregation front. But Aerodrome, which is the largest DEX by TVL on Base, and Base Swap, who's been supporting us from day one, which is not necessarily created by our team by any means or anything of that nature, but just has been a big fan of what we've been doing, and many other teams. Daki Swap comes to mind as well, and some others. So definitely check that out. And also, I'm a big fan of directing sort of new users or folks that are a little bit more familiar. I think the crypto natives will check out like a deck screener and sort of see what's going on from that side. But then if you're maybe on the newer side and you're just looking for new opportunities, something to do like a little test to dip your toe into the water and see how the water's feeling. Um, I would always recommend like a Beefy Finance. They do a great job of aggregating a lot of the opportunities within base DeFi and could give you a holistic overview. And hey, like I joined and started getting excited about DeFi towards the tail end of DeFi summer. And there have been many moments where I feel like a lot of that excitement is back again. So hopefully, folks who are newer on chain could get some of that excitement as well. Just remember to, always, try things cautiously. And if you're unsure, if you have a feeling in your stomach about like, oh, maybe this is like too good to be true, then stick with the trusted names uh, for the time being.
I hope you guys were taking notes. I appreciate that, Armand. And if you were not taking notes, don't worry. This is recorded. You can go back to that part and get all the alpha that I told you would come with a guest like Armand. So thank you, Armand, for sharing some of those hot protocols on base. Some stuff, some reasons for you to use cross-chain swaps to get onto base and start putting some money in a Moonwell. Or excuse me, let me back up. In opportunities that you may consider. This is not me telling you to do. I don't even know that app. So yeah, just opportunities for you to consider. Go back and listen to what Armand said. It's time, guys. I'm not going to say this on behalf of Matcha, but I also am feeling personally the energy in the space. I'll just say the energy on the timeline is different than 6 months ago in a more active way. All right. So with that said, let me ask Will here a question. And cross chain swaps is something that was highly requested by Matcha users. We have a request a feature portal from Canny, and people were banging that submit button on I want cross chain features. Maybe that's a good enough answer for what I'm about to ask you. But Will, why now? Why is cross chain swaps important now, especially in the midst, 13 months after, the manifestation of the super chain thesis with Base? Like, why is cross chain swaps important right now? And an addendum to that, is it more useful in a bear or a bull market? Is it useful in both?
Yeah. So why now? So I think something that we've always kind of anticipated uh, is that, Ethereum's very limited throughput would not be able to support a large number of users. And a lot of the things that are being built on top of blockchains benefit from network effects. So as more users come in and start interacting and engaging with each other, these services become more valuable. And so, we've kind of always known that we would run into the scaling, limitations of Ethereum mainnet. And we've always been thinking about how do we move past them with things like sharding and side chains and drive chains and layer two networks and validiums and rollups. And there's been a lot of excellent research, but up until the last couple of years, uh, a lot of that work has kind of stayed in the realm of research and not necessarily, uh, been fully utilized to help onboard, the next kind of orders of magnitudes of user adoption that we need to reach. Um, and so, in the last couple of years, it's happened. We have really, started running into the throughput limitations of the Ethereum mainnet. Gas costs can spike. And as Armand mentioned, it can be $20, $30 in gas to do to do whatever it is that you're doing on Ethereum mainnet. And it's like, there's a lot of cool, engaging things on Ethereum that people want to interact with, rightfully so. But we also need to be bringing on, the next 100 million or billion users. That's ultimately the goal, right? So it's kind of just in the last couple of years, we've kind of hit that tipping point, and there's users that are spilling over into these more scalable networks. We have base network with excellent backing, building this vibrant ecosystem and public goods funding. So I think right now is it's the right time to introduce cross-chain swaps. It's the right time to start thinking about what a multi-chain experience looks and feels like, because we need to get that next wave of adoption, and so that's kind of our thinking around cross-chain swaps and the timing right now at Matcha.
I'll tell you what, the people on the timeline and then Discord are agreeing. It was a good time and they're very appreciative. So congrats to everybody at Maja who made that happen. I just posted the tweets. All right. So congrats to everybody who made that happen and built it. Will, I got a question from the Discord. I want you to try and answer it if you can, and if not a good time to do it, that's okay too. But this user is curious about liquidity aggregation on Base. So this question maybe already has an answer, but is Matcha going to have liquidity aggregation in the future for Base?
Great question. So Matcha today already aggregates 7 different liquidity sources on the Base network, including a number of the ones that Armand mentioned. And so if you go to matcha.xyz today and you look for any token on Base network, Matcha will automatically scan 7 different liquidity sources and figure out how to achieve the best price. Uh, and we'll continue to add more liquidity sources uh, as they emerge.
Yes, thank you, Will. Over 100 plus liquidity sources aggregated by Matcha in general, and we're using those to find you the best price and execute your best trades. I know a number of those liquidity sources are some that Armand mentioned as well. So, Armand, let me ask you this next question. Um, again, just pulling these questions from our insider Discord. If you're in the Discord, I am pulling these questions from the insiders. Um, how this is kind of a general question, Armand, excuse me, but let's try and answer it in any way possible. How do you see Matcha helping Base reach that 1 billion onboarded user goal?
Oh, for sure. I think it comes down to what we were saying earlier, right? It's how do we get a user to have a meaningful experience as soon as they come on chain? And one of the big reasons that I could imagine a lot of Coinbase users perhaps coming on chain for the first time, in the absence of finding some specific DApp that they want to interact with, it might just be because they want to interact or trade a specific asset that's not available on Coinbase. So, in which case, having an aggregator that aggregates across dexes as well as cross chain would give the user the best, not only selection of tokens, but hopefully the best price point and the lowest slippage, and give them that sort of experience that we're sort of looking for said user to have. So very simply, it's just making sure that we provide that utility to the users who are seeking it.
Wonderful. Yeah, let's try and make things a little more frictionless for folks, top to bottom. If you're a new user from Coinbase, want to make your first interaction with DeFi a lot better than maybe some of us here on this stage. Our first interaction was a little scary, maybe, but yours hopefully a lot better, a lot more trusted, and something that's going to be helping you come back on chain more and more. But also for those users who are knee deep in the game, we want you to find apps that have a UX that help you get the trades you want and also help you get the most out of DeFi. And I think those opportunities are alive on Base and possible through cross-chain swaps on Matcha very easily. By the way, folks, cross-chain swaps have 0 fees right now. I want to say that. So if you're interested in any of these opportunities that Armand is talking about on Base, you should go to matcha.xyz, try cross-chain swap onto Base, 0 fees while we're in this launch period and we're on these spaces talking about Base and cross-chain swaps. All right, so give it a try. Free swaps, free cross-chain swaps during this launch period. And also, if you're here because you're interested in that $50 USDC, that's happening very soon, maybe in the next 10 minutes. All right, so stick around with me. I'm going to wrap up some of these questions with our 2 wonderful guests, and we'll get to that giveaway in just a moment. Armand, I got one for you, buddy. Let's talk about, how your feeling is right now on the space in DeFi. We enumerated some of the opportunities, but how is it feeling in DeFi when you're getting in your browser and you're logging into some of these apps and using the chain selector to choose Base? Like, what is palpably, like, what is the feeling of DeFi and Base right now?
But for better or worse, I haven't touched the chain selector. It's collecting dust on my side. Not no, no. By all means, I'm a base maxi in my day to day, but I have to go cross chain to see what's going on there, right? That's the curiosity that keeps us alive. So by all, I think that right now DeFi feels quite exciting again. It's nice to see the price action. It's nice to see so many developers starting to build consumer-facing dApps again. I felt like for a while in the past 18 to 24 months, a lot of the biggest name developers and the folks who I respect and perhaps follow on Twitter were all releasing infrastructure projects. And I mean, that is the backbone, and as we sort of would have hoped, all these net new infrastructure primitives and improvements are now leading to the next wave of direct user-facing applications. So of course, you mentioned this earlier, like the Frontex of the world. I think that base paint is a pretty cool idea and use case. And there's many others that are just simply on chain, but they're also fun. And I think it's turning a new leaf for what sort of on chain means and could be. We see a lot of interest in folks from gaming studios starting to build on chain, and like despite my day to day focusing on DeFi, I think that like we really need more core primitives that are not just about personal finance or saving or perhaps speculating. Because let's face it, if you look at the broader like swath of like your friends and family, not everyone's interested in personal finance. Perhaps a lot more people are interested in entertainment and fun and doing things that are perhaps a little bit more social. So focusing on those use cases are very much so a flywheel for people coming on chain, and then hopefully they could see the merits of using some of these on-chain finance products once they're here.
Heck yeah. I'm glad it's feeling good. It's feeling good to me too. And I'm double tapping that this past year or so has felt like a lot of good shipping. not some of the random shipping that we might see in a bull market, but some of the stuff that's probably going to help prop up the next bull market. Will, got one big one for you, sir, and take your time with it. But with all of these bridge opportunities, or sorry, bridge platforms that exist today, and people may be feeling a little trepidatious to connect their wallet to certain things, why should people trust Matcha for a cross-chain swap? What went into the scoping of this cross-chain swap feature, and anything that goes in the Matcha that should give people, especially some new folks to the Matcha gang, comfort and security in when they're transacting on Matcha?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I mean, frankly, transacting in Web3, interacting with different smart contract systems, it is something that is security critical, and that needs to be top of mind when building products for users. And I think bridges in particular have shown that it's really hard to yeah, I guess kind of build secure ways of moving value between different consensus networks. If whether they have like a shared security like layer 2 network like Base, or it's kind of like a separate layer 1 network. um, Connecting these two networks in a secure and reliable way is not an easy task. And the good thing is that, as I mentioned, people have been working on scalability and bridging for a number of years, and we feel like this technology has really kind of crossed the chasm from something that is still being developed and not necessarily battle tested and ready for prime time, to more recently we're starting to feel like this technology is starting to be battle tested. We're seeing which models, bridging and scaling models work, and which ones have run into issues. So that user security is that is not something that it can be like a secondary consideration for anything that we build. And so we're confident that now's the right time to support this technology. It's finally ready for prime time. And of course, the way that we architect our smart contracts minimizes the exposure of users to bridge, kind of the security model of bridges altogether. So those are a couple of thoughts. And yeah, our job is to do our very best to give users clarity and help them make smart decisions. But it's also users need to always be cautious, and they should probably be inspecting the transactions that they're signing. Or also some great tools out there that are kind of doing that for users. So kind of scanning transactions to see if there's potential vulnerabilities uh, in those transactions. But yeah, I think this technology is now reached the point where it's mature, and it's ready for a more mainstream audience. And our objective with Matcha is to make it as seamless and simple as possible to utilize this technology.
Wonderful. Thank you, Will. And I hope whenever anybody does get to try this, that they also feel that way. A lot of intention went into building this. This is why, I mean, it was a highly requested feature by our user base. And I think we took a good amount of intention and time to make sure it was exactly what we wanted to provide for everybody here. So again, I just made the tweet. I didn't build the thing, but hey, thank you, Will, and everybody else who was part of that. Folks, I just pinned a tweet here, and it's not the tweet you're waiting for, maybe, but I just pinned a tweet to show you an example. Um, right now, if you want to bridge ETH over to Base from a different chain, it could be right now. It's free, like I mentioned, as you see in this screenshot. It is free for this launch period, which will end. Well, it has an end time, and I'll discuss that in Discord if you're part of Discord. But it takes 1 minute to bridge, and it's free. So this is not true of every single pair. I'll make sure that's clear. Not true of every single chain, but relevant to what we're talking about today. If you're trying to move some ETH over to Base, try it with a cross-chain swap on Matcha. Right now it's free and it takes a minute. All right, folks, without further ado, I know you have been waiting for this. I just tweeted something, and I'm going to pin it to the tweets right now. You need to retweet this tweet if you want to be part of the raffle for 50 USD. I'm giving away 50 USD to 4 of the base nation of the Matcha gang that are in this spaces and hopefully been in spaces since the jump. Your job right now is to retweet the pinned tweet. It is right there. Tap that most recent pin tweet, hit the retweet button. I'm gonna hand it over to Armand to just let us know what's next for Base, what we're thinking about, how we're feeling again, what you should not forget after the space ends. And then we'll take another look at how the tweet's doing for the raffle. All right, so do that right now. Click the pin tweet, hit retweet. We're sending out 50 USD to you that you, hey, like Armand said, you could swap that onto Base and try any of those opportunities that he mentioned, not financial advice. So without further ado, Armand, let's wrap it. Let's talk about what's next for Base, what you're excited about, what the Slack or whatever it is channel that you guys talking is excited about right now. What's up?
Oh, those channels are everywhere, man. You know that. What's next for Base? So, I think that there's a lot coming down the pipeline for Base specifically, but I'd be remiss not to mention what's next for the broader sort of super chain. For those who don't know, Base is built on the OP stack. It's built on a open source public goods infrastructure stack that was created by Optimism. And I think that allowed for us to get up and running very quickly. It also allows for projects deployed on Base to be considered for Optimism's retroactive public goods funding, which is currently like ongoing. This is a really, really big opportunity for the folks that are, launched on Optimism mainnet on Base and some of the other chains that are within the super chain. And then I think that you have to also check out all of the developments that we're sort of doing together, which are predominantly Optimism led, but we're very excited about, like the idea that Optimism is and had an RFP out earlier this year for ZK Prover on the OP stack, meaning they'd be bringing some of the zero knowledge capabilities into the OP stack in a very big way, which is exciting for us. Or more recently, they just put out an RFP for a bridge functionality across Superchain. So all these things could lead us to a place where we could start abstracting away some of the sort of like chain level and networks and having a lot more interoperability built into what we're calling the super chain. So this is something that I'm following closely. In the interim, we have other timelines coming up like 4844 and hopefully further reducing gas costs so that even if y'all are not kind enough to subsidize these swaps like you're currently doing, which is incredible. But even once that is no longer the case, we would still have the ability to offer much lower sort of gas fees for folks interacting across layer two. So big things coming up for Base, for the super chain, and Ethereum as a whole. A very exciting time.
I'm juiced right now, Armand. I'm about to run through a wall, bro. I'm happy that DeFi is alive. And not only because I feel that way, but because somebody who is reputable in this sense, the DeFi lead at Base feels that way. So great. I really appreciate you joining us, Armand. We'll get one more word for you before we go. Let's take a look at the tweet. There are dozens of you in this, and I see less than 2 dozen retweets. I'm going to give you just a little bit more time to get that retweet done while we ask Will his looking ahead for Matcha. Obviously, Will, we just shipped something big, and before that, we've been shipping. So just give me your status check on how you're feeling about having shipped all that, and what you're looking at next, and how excited you are for DeFi right now.
Yeah. So very excited about DeFi. The transition to more layer two networks and bringing scaling back to the folks that are building cool applications on top of layer two networks. I think it's going to unlock all sorts of new use cases and innovation, and very excited to see how it continues to develop. When it comes to Matcha, yeah, as you mentioned, we just lost cross-chain swaps. Extremely proud of the team for coming together and building what I think is like an excellent user experience. And so, really excited about it. We do have, a pretty exciting roadmap lined up for next year, and obviously excited to talk about it as we ship some of these things. But yeah, for the time being, I would say, please go check out the cross-chain swap functionality. Go, move a few dollars over to Base Network, experiment, see what the ecosystem is up to over there, and yeah, always share feedback. We love to improve Matcha for users. And so encourage you to check it out and share your thoughts.
Yeah, tweet me, guys. Tweet me what you're thinking. You mad about it? Let me know. I'll let them know. If you happy about it, I'm also gonna do that probably quicker than the one before, but we'll see. Send me your feedback. Discord, DBank, Twitter. We're in there. All right. Warpcasts. We appreciate it. All right, folks, without further ado, some of you were sleeping on this. Maybe you're feeling a little charitable. Hey, I don't need the $50 from Michael. It's the holiday season. Let's give it to somebody else. Great on you. I'm picking right now. Remember, you need to be in the you need to be here in the space, which is not relevant to you if you're not in the space right now because you can't hear that. But it's happening. If I call your name and you're not in here, we're going to the next one. Last time somebody asked me to post for verification because they think I was skipping names or something. I'm going to do that in the Discord, general chat. If you want to find out the receipts and see the receipts, head over to discord.gg/matchaxyz and you'll see the receipts very shortly. All right. So we are generating this right now, folks. Stick with me. And in the meantime, I have it right here. In the meantime, I have pinned tweets again. If you want to review any of the stuff we talked about today and try cross-chain swaps onto Base. So here we go. First winner is Godspeed. You got a little gorilla in here. Let me see if you're in here. Give me a react if you're in here, gorilla. Oh my gosh, I'm not seeing you, buddy. I'm not seeing you, Godspeed. Oh, there you are. Boom. Screenshot. Got you, Godspeed. React if your name is Vintage Dad 5. If your name is Vintage Dad 5, give me a react. It'll make my life easier and I'll get you that 50. By the way, the person in here, the person who is going to give away that 50 is in this chat right now. So he's seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Vintage, if you're here, let me know. I see you. Boom. And then we got Dark Seed, Panda Bear. Dark Seed. Boom. Oh, thank you for being here, guys, and thank you for sticking with us to the end and hearing about Base and hearing about cross-chain swaps. And then finally, I'm going to give the last one on this list. Namus. Your username is I'm not Namus, but your display name is Namus. Going to go ahead and say it's a little confusing for folks, but that's up to you. And you're right there. Bang. That's 4. I got the screenshots. I'll get your USDC on chain ASAP. Folks, let's wind this down. I want to thank you for taking an hour of your afternoon, evening, or morning to spend chatting with Matcha and chatting with Base. I told you it was going to be hard hitting. I wasn't lying. We heard about all the big DeFi opportunities on Base, reasons for you to use our big new feature at Matcha, cross-chain swaps. Swap some money over to Base, swap money over from anywhere that we support, 7 different chains, and explore some opportunities on chain. But I'll remind you, please be safe on chain. There's a lot of things going on there, good and bad, but use your best discretion and try and use tools that you trust and are safe and are corroborated by your friends. We don't want anybody getting wrecked, but opportunities are alive and we're excited that you're here. Thanks for being part of DeFi. Armand, any last words for the nation?
Thank you so much for having me. Definitely check out Coinbase Wallet if you want some great safety tools. They've been doing some really good work on that team. And yeah, appreciate y'all for supporting Base and being there with us from the very beginning. So thanks again.
Back at you and Base. Thank you for supporting Matcha. Will, any final words for Matcha Nation?
Nope, check it out. Thank you, Armand. Really appreciate you joining. Excited about Base and the roadmap. And also, yeah, second, check out Coinbase Wallet. It's a really excellent product. and check out Matcha at matcha.xyz. Thanks.
That's right. Pin tweets. All right, folks. I'm not going to say much more. Follow Armand, follow Will, Big Brains. You won't want to miss their updates in the future. And one last call out. You did not win, but Skylark, thank you for being so active on Twitter and asking all the questions. Stay safe on chain, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace.